Hey, what's going on everyone? This is J-Rod with AlHackU, and today we're going to go through a PortSwigger Academy lab on GraphQL, this one titled Accessing Private GraphQL Post. And the objective of this lab is to find a hidden blog post that contains a secret password and then submit that. So if you're ready to start hacking some GraphQL, let's click on the Access the Lab button and let's get hacking. Okay, I have Burp running along with the application pulled up in Firefox, so let's go ahead and start clicking on buttons, links, look for features and functionality that's available to us to help us figure out how we can attack this application. And I don't see anything crazy in here. It looks like we can click on some post to get blog post, and then we can head home. So let's jump into Burp and let's look at these GraphQL requests that are being made. So in here, I see that this is doing a blog post that is trying to just get a singleton blog post. And then here, it looks like it's getting all the blog posts. Now, as you're reading this, this is probably a little bit difficult. Burp makes it easy if you click on this GraphQL tab to just focus on the GraphQL portion of this query here. So this is doing a query to get all the blog posts, and what I want you to do, GraphQL, is return the fields with this information. So I want you to return only the image, only the title, summary, and ID. So go get all those blog posts and then show me just that data, which you can see is what's going on in the response on the right-hand side. We see the image, title, summary, and ID, which correlates or matches what's going on over here. That might help us solve this lab is I see an ID of 2, an ID of 1, ID of 4, and ID of 5. I do not see an ID of 3. This top GraphQL request, what this is doing, it's saying, hey, GraphQL, I want you to go query, so read data and get a blog post, and let's pass in this ID as an argument or a value. And I want you to pass in this ID of 1, so please go get me the blog post with an ID of 1, and then return the following fields in this JSON data. So please go return me the image, title, author, date, and paragraphs, and then here's the JSON output of that. Let's right click, let's send this to repeater. If you click on this GraphQL tab, this is going to make it a little bit easier. Let's go ahead and change this 1 to a 3. Let's hit send. And I don't see anything hidden, secret, a password, so on. So maybe there's additional fields that we need to try and find that would divulge that password that we're looking for. So one of the first things I like to do when testing against GraphQL is see if a built-in feature of GraphQL is enabled called introspection. Introspection is similar to a Swagger file for like a REST API where it gives you the documentation. So introspection is built-in documentation to help users or developers program around the API and understand how the API schema works. So in Burp Suite in the request, if you right click, highlight GraphQL at the top, set introspection query. This is going to put boilerplate in here for a GraphQL introspection query. You don't have to go Google and try to track this down. Burp is nice enough to do this for you. So all of this is doing is just going to say, hey, if you're enabled, can you please pull me your schema regarding queries, mutations, subscriptions, directives, all of the stuff that I should know or should need to know if I wanted to program around your API. So this is going to be benefit to us if it's enabled because we don't have to do as much enumeration or reconnaissance on this API. So if we hit send, and it does appear to be enabled. So this big block of JSON that we just got back shows us here's information about the blog post, and then here's things like the ID, the image, the title, things that we are already familiar with. So let's see if there's additional fields that we didn't know about. So is private and post password, those are two fields now that we have just learned a little bit more about. So post password and is private. We didn't know about these before. And if we're going through this and you're reading and you're kind of like going, oh my goodness, look at all this JSON. How is anybody on an engagement supposed to parse and understand what's going on in here? Well, Burp has you covered in the response. If you right click, highlight GraphQL, save the GraphQL queries to a sitemap. So that'll be up here. If you reference or look at the target and we click this queries to sitemap, this highlighted orange. So we'll go in here, we'll drop down, GraphQL v1, and then let's take a look at these. So the ones here, I believe we already are familiar with. So let's click on the GraphQL, make sure this is just the GraphQL portion that we care about. And then we can see this is getting all blog posts. This is getting a blog post with a ID argument that has to be passed in here. Here too, that we pulled in from introspection. So this is getting all blog post. And here's the additional is private and post password fields. And then here's the get a blog post where we're passing in that argument. So let's right click, send this one to repeater, and then click the GraphQL tab. And we know that the one that wasn't mentioned in that get all blog post was 3. So I'm going to change this ID to 3, hit send. And I do now see this password below marked from this field. So let's right click, let's copy this. Let's head over to Firefox. Let's submit the solution. I'll paste in that value, hit OK, and congratulations, you've solved the lab. So we did it. We solved our first GraphQL PortSwigger Academy lab. I hope you found value in this video. You learned a thing or two about either GraphQL or how to enumerate or use some of the built-in features of Burp Suite to figure out how to attack GraphQL. But if you have any questions, please feel free to leave a comment below, and I will get back to you as soon as possible. Have a wonderful day and happy hacking.